Hi folks, welcome to today's color process video. Pardon me for one sec here. Meh. Anyways, yeah, today's comic. I won't go into the details of how the comic came about. You can see that in the typed up process post. So when it comes to the actual colors, you can see, I'm sure, when you look at the final comic that this is probably the most complex color job I've done for a comic in a while in terms of the use of like rendering, like rendering light and whatnot, going for a more painterly kind of feel to some aspects. And I was kind of humming and hawing about whether I'd do that or not because, obviously it does take a lot more time to do that than just leaving things flat or just doing like flat shading. Um, in the end, though, it's going to sound incredibly petty, but one of the one of the reasons this comic exists was to make a point. Like this person who showed up in my comments, um, kind of poo-pooing my work in a way. So this was kind of my way of, I hate to use the term, but like kind of flexing my muscles, so to speak, of like showing that, you know, I'm damn good at what I do, which, the, my being an Irish person, acting egotistical goes against every fiber of my being. um, but, I am trying to be a bit more confident about my work. I just, yeah, I don't want to go down the path of being overly self-confident. But I mean, I am becoming more comfortable with, you know, with being able to compliment myself and my work. And I feel I did a pretty good job here, um, especially on that worm thing. That was quite tricky to figure out the lighting for it. I still don't think that I did it perfectly, but I do think it works. It does lend it some extra solidity, and it really makes I find the extra bit of rendering on the folds like really kind of gets across how icky it is. Like I really wanted that thing to properly look disgusting, so I feel like the addition of color and the rendering effects really helps sell that. Pardon me for a sec here. Um, Now, in hindsight, looking at it, I do think I should have um, added like some slickness and like some like highlights to it to make it look like moist and wet and extra disgusting. But I think it looks fine here. Like it does the job I need of it. And then when you look at the character in the second panel holding up the sign, I really surprised myself with that one, I have to say, in terms of the color work. Like I was kind of worried that over the past while that I've just somehow lost the ability to do proper rendering on on like a human character like that. I mean, I did toy around with this style of coloring with a similar comic the previous week, but this one is like, yeah, it's definitely, as I said, the most complex kind of color job I've done like on something like that in a while, and I pleasantly surprised myself with that. Yeah, so maybe this is a sign that I'll start doing more and more and more in that of that in my next few comics. Spoiler alert, though, the next comic will be the complete opposite of this, like mainly just everything rendered in flats. So yeah, when it comes to my color choices here, the green, red, and purple backgrounds, really that just came down to I seem to enjoy using RGB a lot, like red, green, blue. And okay, the third panel that isn't blue per se, but it's close enough. In fact, I probably would have went blue with it if the character wasn't already wearing blue. Like I think I was kind of pushing it enough with the purple, like the risk of things not contrasting properly. But no, I think it works. It works okay. Um, and yeah, it's just one of those cases where everything just kind of slotted into place. I will admit the first while when I was like rendering the flats and whatnot, that just things weren't really slotting into place like I would have liked. Um, but gradually over time, things began to kind of build up a head of steam, and it just all came together in the end. Like I'm very happy with how this turned out overall. Um, I think uh, I think this is the longest actually I've spent on coloring a comic since the that Mario comic I did a few weeks back. Like I spent 2 hours 48 minutes on this one. So obviously a good chunk of that time was spent on the rendering effects um, that I did, and overall I have been saying that like I want to cut back the amount of time I spend on coloring my comics, but I am willing to make exceptions in cases like this where I really want to go to town on the color work. Um, yeah, yeah. So not to belabor the point, but like yeah, I am very happy with how this one turned out. So yeah, yeah, that's pretty much everything. So I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will talk to you at the next video. Take care.